Working at Hood Design Studio, I think we're all curious and really interested in design. And so we take on a very iterative process through the design process, moving from both analog physical models through to design, different design software. And it all starts off with a curiosity about place and people. And so our work is really grounded in place and people and being curious and empathetic to those places and understanding the history, the kind of genesis, the origin story of those places, understanding the people that live in these places, right? Their patterns, their practices, their way of life. And we refer to that as lifeways, a place's lifeways. It's the way, kind of the patterns and practices of people that live in a particular place. And so working there, it's just an investigative research process, kind of verging on archaeology, sociology, and then at the same time looking at cultural ecologies, since we're interested in the ecological history of a place. And so you really have to be curious in all these multidisciplinary topics, right? And so when you look at our studio, the people that make up the fabric of our studio, they're all diverse backgrounds, diverse interests. We have artists, writers, researchers, industrial designers, architects, landscape architects, various designers, and all have different interests in life, all come from different places of the world. And we think that's really important as we go into different places, being curious about those places, open about their backgrounds, the development of those places and where it can be in the future. Some standout qualities when we're looking for candidates is I think one of the primary things would be people that value design. And so by that I mean people are interested in higher quality design but have a patience for the iterative design process and are willing to not get overly attached to something, because if you look at our designs, they go on for say 5, 7 years, a long time. And so this ability to constantly work through a set of ideas and be facile, be flexible in ideas, be open to new ideas, and able to work with other people. Yeah. Then also at the same time, looking at what someone's curiosity is. A lot of the time, what are they interested in? So is that a curiosity or an interest or a set of knowledge we can bring into the studio that's going to complement the way we're thinking right now? Maybe something we're not thinking about, we're really interested in. And so it's not, I wouldn't say it's something specific, but when we interview people, there's just a connection is made, it's almost more natural, and we're inspired by that person. We think that they would be a good asset or a good addition to our team. I usually start with when looking through CVs and resumes and portfolios, I usually start with the resume and look at their previous work experience. Typically we don't hire students directly out of school. We're looking for people with ideally a minimum of 3 to 5 years of experience. And so I first started looking at, okay, where have they worked in the past? What kind of projects have they worked on? As a filtering, kind of a first level filtering. And then I go on to looking at their portfolio. And the key there is really, do they have an ability to edit, right? And that's the first thing I'm looking at. They understand what's good, right, and what's not so great. And so it's more looking at their ability to edit their portfolio and then digging deeper into the content and what their technical abilities might be and their interests might be. So, and if there's something of interest, then we set up a chat. And it's pretty informal. It's more like just trying to get, you might meet someone for the first time and trying to get an understanding of what they're interested in, their personality. Because, technical capabilities are one, but also understanding how bringing someone new in, we're only 20 people, bringing the new person in, what that impact is going to be on the culture of our studio and the social aspect of our studio as well. So during the pandemic, let's say at the beginning of the pandemic and even historically at Hood Design, we would primarily get people right out of school. So we get a lot of people looking for internships, people with basically, zero experience. Since the pandemic, maybe this is the last 2 years, as we've really seen a shift where we're getting people that have more experience, which is what we've been looking for. And so that's helped benefit our, just our internal experience within our team. And so we're getting a lot more people that have 3 to 5 years of experience applying. Yeah, we're still getting those entry-level applications, but we're seeing people with more experience. I think that's in part because we've shifted from us being a really small studio of 5, 6 people, and we've grown into 20. So I think there's this opportunity then for people more experienced to see how there could be growth and the ability to take on larger projects. So starting off as a young, if I was envisioning myself as a young person coming out of school, looking back, give myself some advice, I would just say to be patient. I think, you see it in a lot of young candidates. They want things to happen quickly, they want to progress, this kind of climbing the ladder thing, they want to take on a lot of responsibility. And I think it's just, there's a need to be patient. It's this practice is almost like a marathon versus a sprint in terms of our professional practice. And so just be patient, work on skills that you're interested in, right? And understand at the same time you're going to do things that you might not be interested in. But don't close yourself off to those things, leave them open, because all those experiences are going to add up to kind of a process of moving towards where you want to be, and just be patient. And at the same time, open yourself up to the rest of the world. Travel, take on other interests. Don't just silo yourself into practice, and really find a way that you can bring in other interests. And whether it's traveling or hobbies or crafts, workmanship, bring that into your practice, and how you can bring yourself into the work and allow you to kind of empower yourself through that. The most important values we have at Hood Design Studio are people and place. So I would say people are our highest value, and by people I mean the places we're working, right? And being empathetic to those people, listening, I think is probably the biggest value, right? Not going in with assumptions, but going into these places, doing proper research, taking the time, putting in the work, doing the extra work to actually figure out what is idiosyncratic about that place. And then from that, right, that set of research and understanding comes this process of design iteration, which is the hypothesis, right? It's the investigation, it's the prototyping, this kind of three-stage process we take on in our design studio in terms of investigating ideas and being prolific through those set of ideas to come up with a set of ideas that we think can empower the people in place and change and improve their quality of life. I would describe community engagement at Hood Design Studio as particular to place. And by that I mean it's always changing, right? So we don't have a shtick with community engagement. And so it's constantly evolving, and I would say a lot of the times we're really interested in how we can bring art into the community engagement practice. And so a couple examples, probably the best way to describe that. We're working in San Francisco here on Taylor Street, and in order to envision a set of ideas, we built a set of proscenium models and had those in the street, and we closed off one block. And so we mocked up through these prosceniums 3 different options for what the future could look like for the street. We had trees, places for people to sit. It was really just informal conversations. And through these, we're able to gather ideas and build some consensus and get feedback about what's the right direction to go. And other times, working on art projects, we've collected people's images or stories over a set of over a year. And so one example of that is in Pittsburgh right now. We're working on a wall, a glass wall, where we've collected images from the neighborhood. And the people that have lived there for generations, their images are going to be on this wall. As future generations come in, they'll be able to understand the history that's been in that place. I think at Hood Design, why would someone want to come here? Because I think we take on just a different design approach. And if you're curious, if you're interested in high quality design, if you're interested in investigating ideas, if you're interested in doing things differently, right? Innovating ideas, working at a very high level, interested in kind of intellectual conversations around design, I think that is the benefit of working at Hood Design Studio.